Thank you very much for joining us here on France 24. How easy would it be to tweak these EU laws?
Well, it's not an easy journey, and we know today we could hear a lot of cautious among the European leaders. We could hear from the European Commission that we might not be ready. We need to wait a few months before responding to the citizens' demand. We could hear from the President Macron, who was speaking on behalf of the European Council of 27 members, that yes, it's a serious proposal. We might want to go that way, but we are aware that approximately 10 countries already expressed themselves against the process. So they're going to kill the proposal that the European Parliament is already putting forward to reopen the treaty. So now we are in the midst of a major political debate that is going to last for at least 5-6 months before we're going to be knowing whether finally the European leaders are ready to open the Pandora's box. That basically means the European treaties themselves.
And which member states would likely oppose this measure?
It's a very interesting cleavage that exists today on Europe when it comes to institutional reform. You clearly have a pro-European majority within the European Parliament, led by major European countries ranging from Germany to France to Spain to Italy. But then when you look at the north of Europe, including the Netherlands, as well as Sweden, as well as Visegrad countries and Central European countries, there's certainly much more resistance. So the cleavage is pretty transversal, it's pretty cross-cutting. It depends on the political orientation, but not only, because the political debates on Europe remain very, very different in every single European country in the absence of a European public sphere.
Now, Emmanuel Macron did address, parliamentarians there in Strasbourg as that war, Russia's invasion of Ukraine continues. Now, Ukraine has applied to become a member of the bloc, something that is likely to take some time. But Emmanuel Macron hinted that unless Europe lowers the standards, it could take years. Do you think he's being too naive here?
I think there's strong political momentum to offer Ukraine or the current government in Ukraine the possibility to be attached to the European Union in a more credible way. It might not necessarily be full membership, but opening up the market, giving market access to Ukraine, and by coming up with a third option, which might be the extension of free trade area, which is currently happening on exceptional circumstances, and perhaps a custom union might be a possibility. That's what we did with Turkey already in 1965. It is possible to do the same with Ukraine if there's a majority and actually a unanimity, because we would need all the European countries at the moment to actually concede this kind of new specific arrangement with Ukraine. There's a lot of citizens' expectations, and as we could hear today, the political leaders of Europe cannot let down or just, turn a blind eye to citizens' expectations on Ukraine demand for accession.
But this does open a Pandora's box, as you said, because if you lower standards for Ukraine, then you lower standards for other countries that have been waiting for years now.
Yeah, this is certainly part of the dilemma today. We could not probably rush on Ukraine demand due to the Balkans country who have been in line for a long time. But this kind of arrangement that we might come up with for Ukraine might also be extended to those countries who have been, formally speaking, expecting for full membership, but they might end up having and receiving something else, which would be very, very convenient economically for their own economies and for their own citizenship.
Okay, Alberto Alemanno, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us on the program today.